Okay, so this is from gamedeveloper.com. Former Santa Monica studio boss says major publishers need to diversify beyond AAA. God of War Ragnarok director and product development Meghan Morgan Juinio feels the game industry has become too fixated on boom or bust productions. Now, the reason I'm covering this is because this actually coincides with previous stuff we've covered in the past, previous stuff I've talked about in the past. Look back on our modern gaming, what is or is modern gaming bad video. It's up on the YouTube. Scroll down, YouTube's right there. We did a whole deep dive Friday on does modern gaming suck. I think we did a pretty good job dissecting it all. And one of the large problems with AAA gaming specifically, since that's what most people think about when they think about modern A gaming or modern day gaming, the problem specifically is these larger publishers are not willing to take risks. For some reason, they are only willing to make like this article or what she's talking about, boom or bust games. They are only really willing to do the $300 million development games, and this is problematic. This is a problem. Yeah, this is a problem that I think needs to be fixed. Or I'm not even too sure what needs to happen, but you know they gotta. They need to like focus more on these smaller games. They need to focus more on these. Well, they talk about it, so we'll get into it. So, former Santa Monica studio co-head and director of product development, Meghan Morgan Juinio, believes that large studios and publishers need to diversify their product slate by financing more AA, single A, and indie titles in order to better cater to players. Speaking to game developer at Gamescom Asia, Morgan Juinio, who departed God of War maker Santa Monica in June after over a decade at the Sony-owned studio, explained the biggest players cannot keep putting all of their eggs into the increasingly expensive AAA basket. If there is any hope of breaking the ongoing cycle of layoffs, project cancellations, and studio closures that have become the new normal. Quote, I think there's an opportunity right now for all of us at any level to really look at the strategic long-term view, and that might be 5 or 10 years in order to course correct because of the seize the moment type decisions that came out of the pandemic, says Junio Morgan, end quote. She explains that doesn't mean shelving major productions, and she believes there's still plenty of value, both creatively and financially, in greenlighting new entries in truly blockbuster franchises like Call of Duty, God of War, because the quote payoff is potentially really large. Yeah, I think companies are being super nearsighted, and like she talks about right here, she's talking about people need to take a long-term view. I am very much on the long-term view point of view, like heavily. Most of these companies, these larger companies, are extremely focused on the short term. I think this is a problem with. I think this is a legitimate problem with modern day business structures in which they solely focus on the short term rather than focusing on the long term, the actual long term. Looking at short term profit goals, whether it be quarter to quarter or year over year, rather than 5 year to 10 year. Now, why that is, what did he's gone now? He used to work at Berkshire Hathaway. Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. There's an incentive being pushed by, I would assume shareholders or corporate boards where they are incentivizing the leadership structures to be pushed into short-term gains. It's kind of counterproductive when like these game franchises, these AAA games, they take years and years and years and so much money to produce. When you look at, we look at a game that literally just came out Escape from Duckov, which is a riff on the Escape from Tarkov. How many did it sell? 500,000 players on October 19th, and more, bringing in more than 1 million players by October 22nd. Yeah, it's at 2 million players. So this is an indie game, and we talked about this last week. We talked about this with RV there yet, and it's these indie games that are essentially $10. I don't know how long these games took to make. Probably not super long. They're not incredibly like deep and incredibly expansive. They don't have a massive world, but what they are is a small little bit of entertainment that someone can get, or someone and a couple friends can get for like $10. That friend group for the next month will play, right? And so this is leaning on a couple things. One, it's leaning on the fact that a lot of these people, a lot of the normal gamer, they have one game that they play with all their friends, whether that be Warzone, Apex, Fortnite, no, maybe not Destiny. They have like one specific game that them and their friend group all play. It's probably a free-to-play game. There's Battlefield RedSec. We could use Warzone as an example. So a group of friends all play Warzone. They play maybe one on Friday nights, maybe on the weekends. Maybe once or twice on the weekends they'll play. And so they only play Warzone. But here comes a game, Duckov, or RV There Yet, or whatever people call them, friend slop. I think it's ridiculous. The more I think about it, the more I look into it, the idea of friend slop is kind of ridiculous. I think it's an absolutely genius way for games to sell really well. It's essentially catering to people who are extremely burnt out by playing the same free-to-play game they have been playing for years. Because let's say Escape from Duckov comes out, this group of friends has only really been playing Warzone. This game comes out, and I'm not too sure how much it is. Let me look this up really quick. But this game comes out, and then it's cheap. This is not a $60 game. It's just not. So all these friends, because now they are working, they don't have super like they're not rich. They don't have super like, they don't have like a ton of free time. And so what these friends are able to do is they're able to say, hey, one weekend, hey, this game just came out. It's like $18. Let's go play this game. It looks fun. A lot of people are playing it, and it works. This is why these games are selling literally millions of copies. RV There Yet literally sold like a million or so copies, and the game's like $10. And so this type of game, now not every single one is going to be like this, but you could imagine with the amount of power, the amount of resources, the technology that these large publishers have, imagine them just sponsoring 10 of these games. Now that's competing in the actual market. The second point that I should mention, not just even the friends, all the friends getting burnt out by the free-to-play game they all play, this like cheaper like single A game coming out, or this indie game coming out that they can play for a couple weekends. It's also the fact that, dude, stuff's getting expensive. People don't have as much money anymore. What is extremely important for these companies to understand is people's income. A large part of people's income is put to mandatory spending. We know what it is, mandatory spending. A large amount of people's income, especially in the United States. I know everywhere in the world, but I know the United States specifically. More than 50, 60 to sometimes 70 or more % of someone's income is people are forced to spend that on things to keep living. Okay. You got your mortgage, rent, whatever. You got your car loan. You got your credit card bills. You got your utilities. You got your healthcare, especially in the United States. You got your groceries. Okay. If you have childcare, you got childcare. You have other expenses, other things you got to buy instead of just groceries. You have like other like essentials. You got toothpaste, you got deodorant, you got toilet paper. You have all these things. And so gradually, people's income is being shrunk. Their disposable income is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And so what we're looking at is, I saw a study. The vast majority of players, gamers, only buy 1 to 4 AAA games, $60 games a year. That's it. 1 to 4. And now that might have been 1 to 4 games, and like in total a year. But with how expensive games are, yeah, that makes sense. And so these types of games coming out that are cheaper, games like Duckov, games like RV There Yet, other games. What are some of the games? Games like Mega Bonk. That's single player. But these types of mega smash hit indie games coming out that are cheaper, well made, and they can play with their friends. Come on, man. Oh no, Escape from Duckov is single player. But regardless, my point still stands. What's important is that this is a game someone can buy and play for a couple weekends until they go back to their regular game that they're used to, their regular live service game that they're used to. And this is increasingly becoming a larger part of the market. And for these larger developers not to take advantage of this, it's ridiculous. For them to so like dearly hold their IP so close to their heart and not do anything with it, not license it out, not push smaller indie projects. Honestly, if we're talking about, just as a capitalist, come on, they're wasted money. There is money being left on the table. I mean, think about a a smaller like indie or single A Halo game being made by a smaller team, backed by Xbox, backed by Microsoft. They got that money. Now, it's not a lot of money, but more than an indie developer could ever get. Think about what kind of money that would bring in. It's honestly silly for them not to do this. Okay. Escape from Duckov works because Team Soda isn't Team Soda is the developer behind it, isn't necessarily looking to fit the ducks into a realistic world, but building out its own brutal but silly environment. It works. Escape from Duckov reached 500,000 players on October 19th, then doubled that in days, bringing in more than 1 million players by October 22nd. Team Soda announced on October 22nd. Team Soda announced on October 28th. Team Soda announced it's doubled its player base once again, now 2 million players. It's all about that PvE vibe and accessibility for such a hardcore genre. Tong Peng Chen, Billy's head of global publishing, said, players choose the difficulty and experience they would like to have in the game. Venture into the wild, gather resources, return to the base, level up, build stuff, and complete missions. That satisfying loop of loot, upgrade, repeat gives steady positive feedback, way more relaxing than the stress of PvP shooters, and lets players truly lose themselves in the world of Duckov. Heard Jeff's words. Players are living in Duckov's world. Tong Peng Chen told game developer that a team of 4 people make up developer Team Soda. This is what I'm saying. Led by producer Jeff Chen. Jeff Chen worked at Billy for 7 years, and the rest of the team worked together previously on Soda Crisis and Snake Force. We initially thought selling 300,000 copies would be decent. 500,000 would be a dream, Tong Peng Chen said. The current number is absolutely mind-blowing and encouraging for our team. Tong Peng said there's some luck in the game's success, but that Jeff Chen's dedication to the genre means he's an expert. He's played more than 1,400 hours of Escape from Tarkov. Jeff noticed that in Tarkov, a lot of players really enjoy the PvE experience. That is also the essence of Escape from Tarkov, not just the combat, but also the progression and exploration parts, Tong Peng Chen said. Still, that PvE craving wasn't really being met these days, so our dev team put themselves in the player's shoes and focus on what they truly wanted. What players value in the game shouldn't just be money or high value collectibles. Sometimes bringing back very mundane, everyday items determines the success or failure of a quest or key progression milestone. Even if a player fails at extraction and loses valuable gear, they still have the motivation to go in again. Escape from Duckov surpassed 300,000 players on October 27th. A number that was reached after steadily climbing for days. The Steam heights pushed Escape from Duckov past games like Battlefield 6, Apex Legends, Grand Theft Auto 5, which are the mainstays of the top game charts on Steam. The game peaks at Prime Game, playing hours in countries like China, where the game was developed, and slips back down to about 40,000 players during the standard United States daytime hours. It suggests that Escape from Duckov's core audience, at least, is international. Escape from Duckov was announced by Team Soda, then a team of 4 on January 22nd. It debuted with a demo version of the game that ran for 2 weeks, starting a day later on January 23rd. It quickly hit players and earned a spot as the top demo on the Steam platform during that time period. In the months that followed, Team Soda continued to host intermittent demos to test new maps and features between frequent developer diaries entries on its Steam page. Duckov publisher Bilibili began life as a social media website. Bilibili began primarily as a Chinese social media. In 2021, Bilibili released Dead Cells as a mobile game in China. By 2023, it had passed 5 million copies sold in the region. In August 2025, ahead of Escape from Duckov's October release, Bilibili reported 215.1 million in mobile game revenue, a 60% increase year over year. That revenue is attributed to an exclusively licensed game. Sanguao Maoding Shanxi, the company said in its August financial filing. Okay, I think that's enough there. So to put a wrap on this, it's important to look at the market and understand what's happening. Bilibili understands this. I would assume they have some inherent understanding that people's wallets are shrinking, especially in America, everywhere really. And so, it's important to try to find, we're really just going back to, it's simple. If you make a good product and you sell it for a good price, you're going to sell a lot. That's it. This isn't complicated. This isn't news. What I think a lot of AAA game developers or publishers specifically should take note from Bilibili is their willingness to do this. Their willingness to go out on a limb and do this. I don't know to what extent they went out on a limb. I don't know what kind of risks they, saw or what risks they took. I don't know the budget for this game. It was 4 people, and it sold millions of copies. This simple idea where the lead developer found a spot in the market, was given the ability to make things, given the budget, given the small team, they made it work. This can be replicated. This right here, this can be replicated. And I think there's money being left on the table from these developers. All right. That is all I have to say about that.